Sport is a multi-million-dollar industry. Every year, organizations are spending money to try and determine what is the best way to train athletes. This has led to a lot of work being done between coaches and researchers to try and solve problems that are holding back performance. It led to a lot of specialized training, which has methodologies of things like accentuated eccentrics and supramaximal eccentrics and plyometrics and shock method and like 100 other things that I could talk for about 6 hours on, and none of y'all are going to care. All right? But that's okay. Those specialized methodologies can be used in other means too. If we stop and we realize that the only thing that separates human performance from sport performance is that they look at a scoreboard and we look at quality of life, we can realize that there is a lot more that we can take from some of the research that has been done on athletes. I've been involved in strength and conditioning since 1998, which now I know is more than a quarter of a century, hence the gray in my hair here. And I'd like to talk to you guys tonight about things that I've done and how we have scaled the training of athletes to the general and specialized populations. One thing that sport does really, really well is testing and analysis. There's this big thing coming up on TV in the next week or so, right? The NFL Combine. So you can see how much emphasis that they put on testing. And by the constant testing and repeated measures, they've learned that hey, if we have A, B, and C over here, they need to do D type of training, okay? For instance, we know if somebody is strong and they're fast, but they can't change direction, it's most likely the ability to withstand force, which would require some of the specialized methodologies we spoke of earlier. Now, we can also start to see how training can work. Now, there's this thing called velocity-based training that has been big in sport for about the past 10, 15 years. I happened to coin the term about 20 years ago. That where coaches had found was that it wasn't just the weight on the barbell that elicited the best responses, but how the people performed the lighter weights with intent, trying to push it hard and fast, improving their rate coding. That led to improvements in speed, power, jumping ability, change of direction in professional rugby athletes. If anybody's a sports fan, that was with the New Zealand All Blacks. Most dominant sports team in history. They used it and they saw amazing results. Now, whenever I was at the University of Miami, we scaled velocity-based training to the aging population. We didn't have them getting under bars with bands and doing Olympic weightlifting and all these huge things that look cool like you'd see on Rocky IV, and whatever other cool movies there are now. But we had them on machines that are more controlled, but they could accelerate through the entire motion. Now, when they did that, they saw huge improvements in speed, in gait speed, maximal especially. Getting up and down from the ground, getting out of a chair and walking however many meters that is. I can't remember how many the timed up and go is right now. I guess I got a little nerve standing up in front of everybody, but it'll be okay. Then we applied that same methodology, scaled yet again to Parkinson's disease. Now, in case you aren't aware, Parkinson's disease, they've got the tremors, but one of the major aspects of it is this thing called bradykinesia, and that just means that they move slow. So when we scaled it to them, in one of the studies, they saw improvements in max velocity, gait. But in the other studies, we even saw improvements in habitual gait velocity. Just their normal walking speeds were better. Now, I think you can maybe see where we've had some real success with the athletic training methodologies when applied. There's one area that I'm going to next, and I'm bringing it up, one, to kind of call my shot and let everybody know what's coming next from me, but two, because maybe there's somebody in this crowd that could help out, that maybe this is an interest of yours as well. And really what I want to look at is the use of plyometrics with aging. Now, Plyometrics, let's start with distance running. Okay, distance running, that is as far away from an explosive activity as I think you could get. Okay? Whenever they applied plyometrics to distance running, they saw huge improvements in what's called running economy. That just means that for running the same speeds, they use less oxygen. Now, how this was accomplished is most likely because plyometrics will enhance this thing in your muscle fiber called titin. Now, titin can be either springy and stretchy, rubbery, or it can be real hard and leather-like. We've got different, it's called isomers, and it just means types of titin. And that plyometric training enhances the elasticity of those isomers. So, whenever those distance runners started doing that plyometric training, all of a sudden it requires less oxygen for them to do the same workload. And what's even better and more important for me is their race performance improved. Because that's what it's all about, is performance, right? So that's going to be the next. So now, what does that have to do with aging, right? Well, I'll tell you. Let's circle it back around here. Picture in your mind for a second. Picture an old person and a young person. Now, I guess we need to define old, because somebody in there is like, Dr. Mann, that's you, which I control your grades. Don't forget that. It's not really. I'm not going to be like that. I'm just trying to be funny, get a laugh out of somebody here. That's all right. That with the aging population, we've got the older people, like 60 plus, okay, and a young person, a college person, 18 to 22. Picture them going up the stairs. When you picture that 18 to 22, what do you picture? They're bounding, they're bouncing, almost floating up the stairs. It's like they got an elastic recoil, like they've got those illegal shoes that Nike's got out for the marathons, just bouncing every step. And the older person, they're either taking one step at a time, or maybe even more slowly, they're having to gather and go. Now, titin reverts back to those more leathery-like isomers as we age. Now, if we can appropriately scale plyometrics back to the point of being more athletic, then we're going to enhance the gait of those older individuals. Now, why does that matter? Gait, and as gait declines, we've got some people like Dr. Yentis in here who can speak to that much better than I can. But as gait declines, that's showing that you're going into the nursing home and into poor health. And the last time I have had discussion with anybody, their number one goal in life wasn't to end up in a nursing home. So I hope that you can see from what I've presented with you tonight, the impacts of using another area can enhance another.